The present NORAD facility could not survive the effects of a nuclear attack. But fortunately, nature has provided a ready-made fortress to offset this devastating power. To protect the command center in a hardened site, NORAD was directed to relocate its activity within the confines of Cheyenne Mountain. The new command center, very similar to this conceptual art, will operate within 3-level, shock-mounted buildings, complete with operating equipment and emergency facilities to care for the command complex personnel during a buttoned-up period. From the moment of the inaugural blast in June of 1961, man and machine labored incessantly to carve out a new command center 2,500 feet below the mountain peak. The Corps of Engineers, working with an engineering consulting firm and the Utah Mining and Construction Company, decided upon the smooth wall blasting technique, which eliminates the necessity of applying a concrete finish throughout the tunnel. Since the granite in Cheyenne Mountain has a closer grain than that found in other mountainous regions, blasting factors had to be diligently studied, then closely controlled. Drilling positions on the floor and along the ceiling and walls were carefully determined. Water-cooled bits bored through the rock to a precisely controlled depth. Holes were capped, coolant water ejected where necessary. Type and amount of packing, and size and number of dynamite charges accurately deposited before electrical connections were completed, equipment and personnel evacuated, and detonation occurred. An average of 1,600 cubic yards of granite per day was scooped up and transported from the tunnel by means of dump trucks and railroad cars. Periodic inspections of the tunnel were performed by Air Force officials as excavation progressed deeper into the mountain. After each explosion, a check was performed to determine the rigidity of the wall formation and to remove loose fragments. In several areas, the post-explosion check conducted by a team of geologists revealed the possibility of some fragmentation occurring because of the rock structure. As a precautionary measure, these areas were cribbed to prevent fragments from falling and injuring personnel. At the beginning of 1962, a vertical riser had been drilled through the mountainside and connected to the tunnel's exhaust shaft, providing an outlet for air, diesel fumes, and other gases within the tunnel. By the end of February, the concrete wall had been poured, hardened, and finished. A steel grate was later applied as a safeguard. By the middle of 1962, the dual entrance main tunnel, its connecting passageways to the chamber areas, and the chambers themselves had been carved within the mountain and linked to the exhaust shaft. Cribbing was then removed from some of the previously cribbed areas in preparation for gunniting operations. In the remaining areas, application of gunite was deemed unnecessary. These sections were secured by means of chain-link fencing only. Power lines were brought in and connected to temporary facilities to provide additional lighting and power for the gunniting. Drills bit deeply into the hard rock formation to provide encasements for accompanying bolts and bolt plates. Chain-link fencing was then secured to the walls and ceiling by means of the bolts and plates. A portable concrete mixing machine was moved into position. Sand, cement, and a precisely controlled amount of water were deposited in the machine and blended to produce a homogeneous mixture of proper consistency. The mixture under high pressure was evenly distributed along the tunnel walls and ceiling. When hardened, the chain-link fencing and gunite combination provides an effective holding force against possible wall fragmentation. With tunnel excavation work completed in August of 1962, workmen began the task of shaping the entrance's classic identity. Molds were prepared, joined, buttered, shaped, hoisted into place, and secured to other sections to provide a complete archway form. Through the use of a pumpcrete machine and a conveyor belt system, concrete was carried to the higher elevation and deposited in the molds. Application of the concrete finish to the entrances signaled the beginning of the construction effort on the command facility. This effort is expected to proceed on schedule, providing a hardened NORAD command facility to process a constant stream of vital defense information while protected deep within the heart of Cheyenne Mountain.